It is August 24th, 79 AD morning. The city of Pompeii is doing what it does every morning. The baker is pulling bread from the oven. The gladiators are training in the palestra. The merchants are setting up their stalls in the forum. Lovers have written their names on walls. Children are running in the streets. A dog is chained outside a house, beside a mosaic that reads, "Beware of the dog." Everything is completely normal. Everything is exactly as it has been for centuries. And then, at approximately 1 in the afternoon, Mount Vesuvius answers a question nobody knew they were asking. 79, the year a mountain ended a city in 18 hours. The year that froze an entire civilization mid-gesture and preserved it for 19 centuries. By the end of this video, you will understand why 79 is not just the year of the most famous natural disaster in history. It is the year that accidentally created the greatest time capsule ever made, a complete portrait of Roman daily life, preserved in ash, that tells us more about how ordinary Romans lived than any written record ever could. The vault is open. To understand what was lost in 79, you have to understand what Pompeii was. Not the ruin, the city. Pompeii in 79 AD was a prosperous, cosmopolitan, thoroughly Roman city of approximately 20,000 people on the Bay of Naples in southern Italy. It had everything a Roman city of its size was supposed to have: a forum, 2 theaters, an amphitheater that could seat 20,000 people, multiple bath complexes, temples, a sophisticated water distribution system fed by an aqueduct, dozens of bakeries, hundreds of bars, and a thriving commercial district along the main street. The walls of Pompeii were covered in graffiti, election notices, declarations of love, insults, advertisements for gladiatorial shows, dirty jokes. The city was alive in every sense of the word. It had been alive in various forms for at least 7 centuries before 79 AD. Pompeii sat approximately 8 kilometers from Mount Vesuvius. The mountain had not erupted in recorded memory. The Romans did not know it was a volcano. They thought it was simply a very large hill. The slopes of Vesuvius were covered in vineyards and farms. The soil around a dormant volcano is extraordinarily fertile, rich in minerals, perfect for growing. The farmers who worked those slopes had no idea what was beneath them. A major earthquake had shaken the region in 62 AD, 17 years before the eruption. Some damage had never been fully repaired. Some residents had left after the earthquake and never returned. But most stayed. Most rebuilt. The city was in the process of renovating the Temple of Jupiter when Vesuvius erupted. The scaffolding was still up. What happened on August 24th, 79 AD was not a simple lava flow. Vesuvius did not slowly ooze molten rock down its slopes. What happened was a Plinian eruption named after Pliny the Younger, the only eyewitness who left a written account. The mountain sent a column of superheated gas, ash, and rock fragments approximately 30 kilometers into the sky. For several hours, pumice stones rained down on Pompeii at roughly the rate of 15 centimeters per hour. Heavy enough to damage roofs, heavy enough to make walking in the open streets dangerous, but not immediately fatal. Many people left during this phase. They loaded their valuables onto carts and fled north along the roads away from the mountain. The ones who survived were almost certainly the ones who left during this window. The ones who stayed made different calculations. Some were trapped, too old, too young, too sick to move quickly. Some were afraid to leave their homes and their possessions. Some believed the worst had passed. Some simply could not have imagined what was coming because nothing in their experience or their history gave them any framework for what a volcanic eruption of this scale actually meant. At some point during the night of August 24th into August 25th, the eruption column collapsed. When a Plinian eruption column collapses, the superheated gas and material that was being propelled upward falls back downward and outward as a pyroclastic surge. a ground-hugging flow of superheated gas, ash, and rock, moving at speeds of up to 700 kilometers per hour at temperatures of up to 300 degrees Celsius. There is no outrunning a pyroclastic surge. There is no shelter that protects against it. The people of Pompeii who had not left, approximately 2,000 of them whose remains have been found, though the true number may be higher, died in seconds. Their bodies were sealed under meters of ash before they could decompose. The ash hardened around them. The bodies eventually decayed, leaving human-shaped voids in the hardened volcanic deposit. When archaeologists in the 19th century began pouring plaster into those voids, they found something extraordinary. People frozen exactly as they died. A mother curled around her child. A man covering his face with his cloak. A gladiator still in his cell. A chained dog that could not run, preserved in the exact posture of its final moment. The bread the baker put in the oven that morning was still there, carbonized but intact, still in the oven, still in the shape of bread. Pliny the Elder, the famous Roman naturalist and naval commander, uncle of Pliny the Younger, was stationed across the Bay of Naples at Misenum when the eruption began. He observed the eruption column with scientific curiosity, dictating notes about its shape. He compared it to an umbrella pine tree, which is now called a Plinian column in his honor. Then he received a message from a friend on the shore near Pompeii asking for help evacuating. Pliny ordered his fleet to sail toward the eruption. He was sailing toward the thing everyone else was running from. He landed at Stabiae, south of Pompeii, spent the night with a friend named Pomponianus, and tried to reassure his terrified host by sleeping, or pretending to sleep, through the sound of the eruption. In the morning, the air was too thick with ash and sulfurous gas to breathe properly. Pliny went to the beach to see if the ships could sail. They could not. The sea was too rough from the eruption. Pliny collapsed on the beach and died. He was 55 years old. The man who went toward the disaster to help died on the shore he sailed toward. His nephew, Pliny the Younger, who stayed behind at Misenum, survived and wrote the only eyewitness account that exists of the eruption. 2 letters to the historian Tacitus, written years later, which are the primary source for almost everything we know about what happened on August 24th, 79 AD. Pompeii was buried under approximately 4 to 6 meters of volcanic material and forgotten. Not immediately, people tried to dig out some of their possessions in the days after the eruption, but the city itself was abandoned. Within a generation, people were not entirely sure where it had been. The land above it was farmed for centuries. The city beneath was simply gone from living memory. It was rediscovered by accident in 1748 when workers digging a water channel struck a wall and found painted plaster beneath the ground. What followed was one of the greatest archaeological excavations in history, a process that continues to this day, with approximately 1/3 of the city still unexcavated. Every year, new discoveries emerge from beneath the ash. In 2019, archaeologists found the remains of 2 men, a wealthy man and his slave, frozen at the moment of death by a pyroclastic surge in a villa on the outskirts of the city. In 2021, they found an intact ceremonial chariot. In 2023, a room containing the remains of 5 people huddled together was uncovered. The city is still speaking. 19 centuries later, Pompeii is still telling us what it was like to be alive on the morning of August 24th, 79 AD, and what it was like when the mountain answered. So, what is 79? It is the year that proves that the most ordinary moments are the ones worth preserving. The bread in the oven, the dog on the chain, the lovers' names on the wall, the gladiator in his cell. These are not the moments that history usually records. History records battles and emperors and treaties and disasters. History almost never records Tuesday morning in a bakery in a medium-sized Roman city. But Vesuvius did. The mountain that destroyed Pompeii also preserved it, perfectly, accidentally, for 19 centuries, so that we could stand in its streets and understand, for the first time, what an ordinary day in the ancient world actually looked like. The catastrophe was the preservation. The destruction was the archive. 79 is the year the ancient world accidentally left us the most intimate record it ever produced. Not in words, not in monuments, not in the accounts of emperors and generals, but in bread still in an oven and a dog still on a chain, and the shape of a human being curled around someone they loved, pressed into volcanic ash 19 centuries ago and waiting to be found. 79. The mountain did not know what it was doing. It just erupted, and in 18 hours it created the greatest archaeological gift in the history of human civilization, a city frozen at the moment of its destruction, waiting under the earth, perfectly preserved, for the world to find it. If this story made you think, leave a comment. What would archaeologists find if your city were buried today? What would survive? What would they understand about how you lived? Subscribe to the Vault of Numbers. Every week, one number, one story history forgot to tell you. The next number in the vault? 480. A king took 300 men to a narrow mountain pass. He knew they would not come back. He went anyway. The vault remains open.